Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Dan Cartalicchio. I want to welcome you back to another segment of Destination Health Podcast, where we find function in a dysfunctional world. I'm very excited. We had a podcast before the podcast. I haven't spoken to my good friend, Dr. Renee, for such a long time. That's okay. We're going to start our podcast right now. We were just catching up, talking about kids and all sorts of things. Dr. Renee, how are you today? What's going on? You're in Albany, New York right now. You went from Cooperstown to Albany. What's going on?
Oh, not much. Just getting back to life, getting back to business. And getting back by launching a new program. So,
okay, we're going to talk about this program. We're going to talk a little bit about you. I'm excited because you took a little time off, right? I think I did like text you like 6 months ago, and I said, Dr. Renee, you want to come back onto the podcast? And I know that you were just busy all over the place. And so I said, all right, let me give her a little time and we'll reconnect again.
I hope I responded. Give a time that
no, you didn't respond, but that's okay. I didn't, we're friends. So, I know that you were going through whatever and, stuff like that. So it was all good. Dr. Renee, double board certified anti-aging medicine, OBGYN. She went from conventional medicine to functional medicine. She had this great life, kids, country, Cooperstown, New York, horses, and all of that. Then in May in 2012, she was on her horse and she fell, broke her back. From there, she got depressed. They diagnosed her with depression. It wasn't depression. And they gave her different medications. And then she said, this is not where I should be. She found an anti-aging doctor and she decided to do a little bit of functional medicine. We all have a story when it comes to this, right? We're all quite conventional. Then all of a sudden something happens and then it changes our life. And now she has a program starting on Monday. She is the libidoologist. I love that. She's the libidoologist. So let's go back just for a little bit. Let's go back to when you injured yourself. What happened, and you just didn't feel right. What was going on during that time?
Yeah, it happened when I was practicing conventional OBGYN. I fell off the horse and broke my back. And, I was back in that time. It was kind of like, hurry up and fix it. I think that's what the mentality is of a lot of docs and a lot of people in the healthcare system is, I don't feel good, fix it, whatever way you can fix it. And for me, it's like, even though I didn't want back surgery, so when at first they said it's inoperable, essentially it has to heal on its own. At first I was like, whew, right? Because I never wanted back surgery. But at the 6-week mark, when I still had a tremendous amount of pain and I was maintained on these really strong pain meds, we're machines as docs, right? Like, you got to get back to work. You got to get back to work. What are you doing? You're supposed to be better at 6 weeks. And that's what I was told. At 6 weeks, I'd be better, quote unquote, better. And at the 6-week mark, I'm like, just put the back together, please. Just let me get back. And, of
Painful.
course, yeah, that didn't happen. And I always say I was Humpty Dumpty that fell off the wall that could not be put back together again. So I went about 6 months with this pain issue. I finally had a procedure that at least got me off the meds and back to work. So now I was back to my identity, which is the doctor, OBGYN, but I could no longer operate or deliver babies. So it was really interesting now that in retrospect, now that I'm, 10 years removed, of some of the mental things I was going through that year of like, I put so much again of my identity into what I did for a living. And, we give up so much of our life for training. And then part of that was taken away. And I think, I went through the grieving process over that next year of like anger and frustration and, resentment towards others that still had their full physician capabilities and their full functioning body. And then some of the physical stuff started settling in, such as, I had really low energy. I couldn't get out of bed in the morning. I essentially just, I always say my kids really didn't have a mom because they'd say, Mom, we want to play. And I'm like, I just want to lay on the couch. So I'd go to work a couple of days a week and I'd come home and lay on the couch for the rest of the day. I'd wake up in the morning. I would just like count the hours till I went back to bed. And, this also turned into like really poor dietary habits, and that like, I was just so tired that I'd open the fridge and like, salad? No. How about the chips in the cabinet? So that became my nutrition, bag of chips for lunch. And, the next best, meal in a bag with sauce for my kiddos. And so, and on top of all this, I was a very motivated woman. I was very disciplined, and now I felt like, what has happened to me? Like, that is all gone.
World is upside down at that point, right?
World is upside down. And so, I felt like an unfulfilled doctor, a deadbeat mom, a wife that wasn't fulfilling, all her wifey duties with housework and all the things. And I remember laying in bed one night with my husband and said, I just can't go on living like this. And that was I knew I had hit rock bottom when I thought about no longer living. I thought about taking my life, and I didn't have a plan, but the thought crossed my mind. There were a couple of times I'm like, how many pills would I have to take, or how many of this? Cause I had the painkillers,
Sure.
And that's when I knew, I'm like, okay, time to go to the doctor. But I have to say, at this point, a lot of people had turned their back on me. In my colleagues, it's to the point where like I'd maxed out on the pain medication. I had gone to my back doctor, my physiatrist, oh, we can't do anything more for you for a year. The physical therapist, I said, I think I'm the only one who ever flunked out of physical therapy.
It happens.
Yeah, that was me. And so I went to my doc and I was told her all the symptoms. And of course she's like, it sounds like depression. And, back then I wasn't in functional medicine. I had no idea that it could be anything else. I'm sitting there thinking to myself like, gosh, what's this diagnosis? And of course I was like, yep, it sounds like depression. So, but I was like, I just don't feel like this is what depression should feel like. Like I had an injury, but I'm like, just give me the pills, right? Like that mentality, like just fix it. Like, give me the pills. I just need to.
Yeah. What happens is that you were just like, come on, fix this, and it's kind of the natural progression. I can't find anything. So maybe a little down, right? Maybe need a little mother's little helper type of a situation, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so this was about a year later after probably a year and a half that I went on medication, an antidepressant. And, it was interesting because the 3-month trial for that medication, I had all of the side effects and I continued to have my symptoms. And that was the first time I was like, is this even the right, is it depression? But again, Dan, I didn't know what else it could be. Yeah. Like, I was like, all right. So went back to my doc and she did what any doc is trained to do. Right. One pill doesn't work. Try another one.
Just try another one. Maybe we'll run a little blood work. Let's see what's going on, right? Because you got to have a baseline. Let's do a little CBC, SMACI type of a thing. You're a woman, so maybe we'll run a hormone panel right away. We don't know yet, right?
Yep. And I didn't. And I was like, okay. So none of that was done, actually. Just a different pill was tried. And ironically or not, same thing happened. And at this point, I was very frustrated because now, like, again, my entire medical community has turned their back on me. A doc, I know what she's going to say. She's run out of options. I'm just going to have to live with how I'm feeling, which is essentially what happened. And now I'm like, what do I do? So aside from going off my antidepressant cold turkey, which I do not recommend, I was like, now what do I do? And ironically, I do believe God, universe, some higher being intervened in January of, I guess it was 2014. And I had a friend that put me in contact with a functional medicine doc. And I didn't even know what that was. And I didn't even look it up because at this point I was so exhausted. I was so frustrated.
I'm just going. It doesn't make any difference. Let's just see what happens, right?
Yep. And, I always characterize that time in my life as feeling helpless and hopeless. Like I honestly, no one, who else was going to help me? And I had no hope of ever feeling better. And so, honestly, this woman got on the phone with me at like 9:00 one night. She was done with her office hours just to chat with me. And I remember sitting in bed, propped up with my computer on my lap. And she was, telling her my story. Within 5 minutes, she's like, Renee, I don't think you have depression. I think you have a condition of your adrenals. And we, in the past, would call it something like adrenal fatigue. And so I keyed in, adrenal fatigue, and there my symptoms popped up in front of me. I was like, oh my gosh, it's exactly how I feel. And so then then she's like, yeah, I'm going to see you in the office officially. We'll run some blood work and do some testing, some functional medicine testing. And it's not going to be an overnight fix. You didn't get here overnight. And she explained how I got there with my years, because I also am a mom of twins. So like years of a stressful, like career, twins, sleepless nights, stress from work, and then all culminated with my fall.
Right.
She's like, your body just couldn't take it anymore. And and I think, Dan, that night, honestly, like I didn't want to cry that night, but I wanted to cry when I actually saw my saliva test for my cortisol, because, everyone else had poo-pooed my symptoms. I actually thought I was crazy. And this woman in one night, she'd never met me, but she validated my symptoms, meaning like, maybe it wasn't adrenals, but there's something going on, and it's not normal. And you shouldn't have to feel like this the rest of your life. And there is something we can do about it.
Right.
Do you know how impactful that is to somebody's life when you're told that? Like, I don't care if it takes 2 years. If you're going to tell me that if I do X, Y, and Z, I'm probably going to be on the road to recovery, I will do it.
Hey, listen, when you are dealing with somebody on your own, just like when I am, and you give them that hope, you can feel everything just calm down, right? We're going to take a different approach. We want the same results. This is a little bit different. And let's see what we can do. I think we can help you out, right? It's like that moment. Like you go, oh, geez, thanks. You know what? I really appreciate you saying that to me. What's the next step? That's what it is. I'm really interested now, because now all of a sudden, once you go to a functional medicine physician, now all of a sudden it's like, wow, what are we doing next? We're doing this. Yeah. Wow, I'm losing weight. Wow, I'm feeling better. I got more energy, right?
Yep.
So that was your experience. You were like, wow, this is really good.
Well, and the interesting thing is, right on that same night, within, of my mind being blown, the fact that I have something else that I never even heard of. Part of me felt very, how do I put it? Like, I don't know. I was in disbelief that I went through medical school and I had never heard of a condition like this. Like, I was like, I've studied it all. How do I not know that something aside from depression could present itself like this? And so I quickly got out of that when she asked me to join her in practice. I was like, so then, right, I paused for a second. I typed in functional medicine doctor, like, what is this?
Right.
And, I did not mention that, up until this point too, I felt like I had lost purpose in my life. And I think that was part of the feeling like I don't want to live anymore. And when I read what a functional medicine doctor does, I said, I heard these angels from above go, here's your next calling. And I right away said, sure. Yeah, I would love to. Like, where do I get my training? And when are we going to open up this office that you want to open up near me? And sure enough, September of that year, I was working with her. And, I was not fully recovered. And this was January to September. I hightailed it through training, through a very rigorous, training for my board certification, and was sitting in a functional medicine office in September that year, and walked away from conventional medicine because, I don't want to say it fails everyone, but it failed me on so many levels. And even to this day, it continues to not be of the highest service to my needs. But, and I'm not saying medication's bad. And I just feel
we know what, for all the listeners, we're not saying that. And we were talking about this before, because, listeners know that I deal with a lot of, cardiometabolic dysregulation. Listen, you come to see me, your triglycerides are 800, 900. I have a master's in nutrition. I'm a chiropractor. I'm referring it to my buddy, who's the cardiologist. They're going to more than likely put you on a little Lipitor, a little Tricor, whatever that is. We need to work on that right away, as opposed to waiting, because that could be fatal at some point in time. We don't want to. So medications aren't bad, but there's also another way, and you can get off of the medications.
And that's the problem. I mean, it was twofold. Number one, like when the pills didn't work, you couldn't ask what else could it be, because when, and I can say this because this is how I was trained, is that when you run out of the pills as the Band-Aid or the solution, quote unquote solution, you don't know what else to do for the patient because you've not been trained to look deeper.
Right.
And so when I found out the concept of functional medicine, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like real medicine. This is like taking my medical, training and putting the drugs aside, like, which is half of my training, and really trying to get to the root cause and really again, like you said, maybe a medication is needed in the beginning, but get to the deeper root cause, because there's so many people out there that do not want to be on these medications forevermore. And I do find also, most of us in conventional healthcare, we practice reactive medicine, right? We wait for disease to already have occurred. Whereas now I feel like I'm more proactive. Like let's just not even go down that rabbit hole of medications or a diagnosis, and let's just try to be proactive and preventative.
Right.
And, unfortunately, there's a lot of people still out there that because of our lifestyles, we are tending to be a little more reactive still, but I'm getting a lot of women before they get on medications, which is great. So yeah, so I ended up joining in practice with her, and that practice closed 4 years after that, but it gave me great mentorship, great training. I appreciate her immensely for introducing me to this world, of functional medicine, changing my life and my family's life. I mean, my kids and my husband would not be as healthy as they are today if it weren't for my additional knowledge and training.
It's very important. I mean, your training is your training. And I've always said that. I mean, you're going to react and treat a particular patient depending upon your training. There's some orthopedics that I know that don't like to do rehab before or after a surgery. There's one that I'm particularly thinking of. You just walk. You walk. That's his rehab, and he really gets great outcomes, by the way, right? And he's an orthopedic surgeon, NYC, at a nice hospital, there. So, your training is your training. But when you get this additional training and then you realize that lifestyle modifications can really be incredibly powerful, in that eating a healthy diet, whatever it is, you want to do mindset work, you want to do meditate, whatever that is. And then, for me, diet is always kind of number one. Supplements come in there too. I mean, you want to take things that you're deficient in, right? You do blood work, you do the vitamin and mineral panel, whatever that looks like. And you help out that way. And then the energy that you had was out of control, right?
Yeah. Well, pre or post, I mean, I had great energy. It came back, and again, it didn't happen overnight,
right.
Like it's
take decades to where you're going. It's going to take time to get out of that particular situation, right?
Correct. And, even though I had gained weight and I didn't feel confident in my body and all the things that come with that as a woman, for me, the most important thing was my energy and like just the brain. Like I was so cloudy in my brain. Like I just wanted that. Like, I feel like so many, when we're on this, like there's a pecking order of like your symptoms of what is most bothersome. And for me, yes, the weight was, but on top of that was the fact that I just didn't feel like doing anything because I needed the energy to be able to want to eat better, maybe to move my body a little bit more. And so it was a couple months of correct supplementation and just being more aware of what I was doing. And again, the validation was a huge part. Like when she told me it wasn't all in my head and that this was real and that it was just going to take time and a little TLC, I'm like, okay, all right, a little more sleep. I can sleep. Oh my gosh, you just gave me permission to sleep, And so I want to say it was a couple months. And I remember it was May of that year that I woke up before my alarm, like the sun was coming up and I was like, ping, ready to get up. And like my feet hit the floor, which is such a different feeling. I mean, I would hit the snooze button. I'd be dreading the day. And I was just like, time to change the world, And it was just such a different outlook with that energy of just waking up like a new day. And I was just so excited for it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been waiting for. And from there it followed because I had a little more energy. Right. So I started eating a little bit better. And I think that's my biggest message to even the women I work with is when you're feeling like that, it's so hard to like just change everything overnight. Like it is baby steps. Like I had to work on the energy and then the overwhelm and the stress. And like, I worked on that. And then the next step was I'm awake. And then the next step at the end of May, I felt like doing some sort of exercise, which I had not felt like doing. So I started something at home, something small, but something that could move the needle forward to getting me to where I wanted to be. And, it wasn't until December of that year that I started to really lose weight. I think I lost, 10, 20 pounds. And it's like, it all started to come together. And, we also have to remember that, if your body's super stressed and, have adrenal issues, you're going to hold on to weight. Like you've got to address the baseline issues, which a lot of women don't. And I speak to women, but they don't want to go back and do the basics. They just want to do the diet and exercise. I'm like, but your body's so exhausted. You can't do that. You're fighting.
It's going to break down even more. And that's the truest thing that everybody's listening to here right now. Right. I mean, we're saying everything is true, but if you think that you're going to diet and exercise your way out of something like this, you may feel temporarily good for a while, but if you're exhausted, adrenals or whatever that is, it's just going to take time. And you have to really look at your lifestyle and make sure that you change it for the positive. Because if you don't, I mean, you're just hitting it all right now. Rest, eating right, restful, restorative sleep. Boy, you even got on stage now that I'm remembering, right? You're like a figure pro here. You're like, I'm going on stage, pro. Right?
Yeah, that was my next thing. It wasn't the healthiest lifestyle, I have to say, but it was one of those things that I had that personality that, like, if you tell me I can't do something, I'm like, I'm going to show you I can, and I can do it with a broken back. And, I know you talked to a lot of fitness members, and it's a lot of it's about the diet and such, but yeah, I crossed that off my bucket list. I got the trophies. I competed for 2 years, and it's when I lost my job, which is one of the most stressful things that can happen. I actually had to stop competing because it was kind of like a full-time job. So but I proved to myself that I could do it. And part of me feels like that was obviously part of my journey and part of my healing process mentally. That, like, I got my discipline back. I got my motivation back. I had something to work towards. I achieved it. My kids were big fans, and they were happy to see mommy sort of come back to life.
Right. Sure. They want their mom back. Right.
And they got their mom back. And so, like, that was part of my journey. That was 2016, 17. That was in that journey. And it was fun. It was fun while it lasted. I'm just in a different phase of my life now. And I totally respect those that still compete and do it. It's hard. But my focus has shifted, definitely.
So, Renee, a little sidebar here. A friend of mine is a bodybuilder.
Oh.
And he said to me, send me a picture. I sent you a picture for. He says, send me a pic. Let's go. Get in your bathing suit.
Are you going to compete?
We're trying. I can tell you at the age of 60, I can move the weight as much as I did when I was 30. Building the muscle is a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, it takes time.
Yeah,
newbie gains. They always call it newbie gains. Like in the beginning, when you first really start lifting heavy, you'll get it.
I'm getting old man from prior gains going on right now. Prior muscle memory gainy type thing. So just a little sidebar. I am training. We'll see. He speaks to me once a week, and he's like, go ahead, keep going. He goes, it doesn't look so bad, he said. So he said, all right.
I think that's the biggest thing. I think, in that mentality, even going into that, I think I joined my coach in July, and I was way ahead. I just had to lose body fat. I already had muscle. And it was kind of one of those things. It's like, okay, I reached this goal. What's my next goal? Because I had lost the weight, and it was just maintaining the muscle and losing the extra. And it wasn't extra, believe me. For bodybuilding, it's like, it's shredded. It wasn't extra. I had nothing extra on my body, but it took me 20 weeks to get that extra off. And it was only 7 pounds, but it's a fine line between maintaining muscle mass, which you especially want to do as a man or a woman, and, getting off the stuff, kind of like shaving, like gently the layers off. And that's what we did for 20 weeks. And, I think I came into it in July thinking, okay, we're ready to go in like 2 months. And he's like, no, how about 20 weeks, So how about 5 months? So, and I did very well my first competition. So, but then we waited a whole nother year, because it's not one of those things that you keep going back and doing. Like, you got to give your body a break. It's a stress on your body.
It is. So, I have a lot of figure pros as clients, I can't say their names, but we just took somebody. I took somebody, said it's not a good idea to continue on. Your body's going to break down very soon. Nutritionally, we're not going to be able to support you because you've just been going. Yeah. They're in their 40s, so I said it's now break time. I said, because we need to change it up. Now, you've become extremely passionate about your work, right? And you're having, starting, what is it, Monday? You have a program starting. You have 10 spots.
10 spots.
Yikes. All right. Tell us about this program. Because when I saw this, I said, I got to contact you. I want to know about this, because this is fascinating and it's very important.
Yeah. It's called the Libido Code, Unlocking Your Desire from the Inside Out. And, I think I always call it the triple threat, which is what women come into me with. And I can't make this stuff up. I mean, I have hundreds of like responses from questionnaires and research of women reaching out and like just messages. And when I pull back and looked at what women are struggling with, in addition to low libido, because I actually started concentrating on libido almost 3 years ago now, when I found out, number one, no one was talking about it. So all the women thought it was normal. And number two, no one was doing anything about it. And it was one of the biggest things that I struggled with as a conventional OBGYN to help women with, because I would just crouch down in my chair because I didn't have the pill to fix it. And so I became super passionate, kind of scared 3 years ago to sort of embark on this world of libido, just because it's complex. Let's just put it that way. So, when I further came back and looked at what all the women were coming to me with, it is low energy, usually related to high stress, probably that hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis dysfunction, right? Number two, weight issues. I don't care how fast I run. I can't outrun women chasing me down to want to lose weight, especially after going through my bodybuilding years. And, I know how to do it. And I've studied extensively in nutrition, despite not getting trained in conventional medicine on it. And number three, low libido. But the interesting thing is women don't care about their libido. Their partners do. And it's kind of on their radar because of their partners, but they care mostly, I have to say, of the other two, usually weight, and they really would like more energy. And so I had piecemealed over the last 2 years, separate programs addressing each of these. And in the beginning of this year, I actually put them together into one, but it was only a 6-week program. And, as I went through the year and I had tons of time to think and drive around the United States with my daughter, I thought, I always look at what women need and what they're dealing with. And I was like, they need a bit longer experience, and we need to dive into more than what we had, which we focus a lot on, the nutrition component and gut and stress, but like, we got to kind of come back to like awareness and habit building and like all the things that are hard for women. Cause I'm a woman too. And I know it's hard. And I know what it feels like to wake up on a Monday and try to completely overhaul your lifestyle when you're juggling a couple kids and a husband that works and walking the dog and all the things. It's like, how do you change everything at once? So, adding on that extra 6 weeks, we're really going to start with the basics of seeing what they're doing right now. Because I think a lot of women watch the newest, best fitness influencer on Instagram or read the latest health blog, and they're like, oh, I have to implement all these things. Meanwhile, they might be doing something already in their lifestyle that's healthy and in their lifestyle, even fad diets and all the things. They just want to jump on everything. And it's like, oh, let's come back. Let's see what you're currently doing. And do you know if it's good for your body or not? Because a lot of women have lost sense of what's going on in their body. We're so disconnected on so many levels. And, that's the whole beginning part of like just becoming more connected to our bodies, awareness of what we're doing, a lot of mindset work, believe it or not.
That's right.
I have this libido type quiz, and I think I don't know how many percentage of respondents, I mean, it's well over the majority. It's their type M, their mindset is the reason why their libido is low. It's how they feel. It's a combination of not only how they physically feel about their bodies,
it's how they approach it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. They want to be touched. They want to be seen,
right.
But also they're feeling they're not good enough, not worthy. So then we get down that rabbit hole of like having to prove yourself and doing for everyone else and losing yourself. And that kind of funnels down to the stress, right? And the low energy. So like they're all intertwined, and it was really challenging to try to pick out what the biggest thing is. But, when I saw that result from that quiz, and I'm like, and again, I have hundreds of women taking this quiz. It's like, wow, I am onto something when we have to incorporate how a woman views herself, views her place in the world, views her place in the relationship, and views her worth. And that's one of the foundational things that we really need to work on.
Do you find that it's low self-worth that is the reason why a woman may not care about their libido? Is that where that's coming from?
I don't even think she knows. Like, I think she doesn't care about the libido because it's just not on her radar. Like, it's fallen off, and it's kind of like, I also see a lot of in relationships, like especially long-term relationships, a lot of, the woman carrying the brunt of the household work and the kids. So that trickles down to a little resentment, trickles down to like, I don't even want to be near you. So
Right,
like we
right,
have to work
right.
on
You know,
that
leave
as
me alone.
well.
I was working. I had to go to work today, and now I'm
Yeah,
cooking dinner, and I just
correct.
cleaned the bathrooms. And you're coming home. You're looking for a scotch or something like that, and
Yep.
I'm making this for right. And so
That's
it's
what I
like,
hear all the
what?
time.
Yeah, stay away over there. Over there, you get your scotch and you stay over there,
Yep.
right? And so you kind of lose interest in everything at that point, right?
Yep. The whole stereotype of what a woman is quote unquote supposed to do. And, I hear that a lot. Like he comes in, he doesn't ask how he can help, nor is she saying how he can help her or, your partner, whoever, man or woman, how they can be helped. Because again, it kind of goes back to that self-worth thing, Dan, of like, I
Right,
feel like I need to prove that I'm a good enough mother, a good enough wife, that I
right,
can do it all. Like it's kind of that superwoman mentality that even I had. And what that boils down to is this lack of communication and lacking your ability to communicate what you need. It's causing resentment, and your partner
right.
doesn't even know you're resentful. And they
No,
don't even know how they can help because you're not saying what they can do.
you're not communicating, and then everybody starts to become resentful towards each other because there's this lack of communication. Oh, my wife is a so and so. She doesn't even, she's not even looking at me. I don't want to look at her either now because I'm
Correct.
just mad at her. Everybody's mad at each other. Everybody's mad.
Correct.
Everybody's
Yep.
resentful. Nobody is thinking about that root cause
Yep.
on where to go. So, how does your program help out? Give us a couple of tidbits here. I'm excited about this. This is great.
Yeah, well, in the beginning, we're, it's all going to be re-recorded live. Like I've already done this program, but I am such a lover of live programs. I
Mhm.
love interacting with the women I work with. I love seeing real-time transformation and being like in the, I don't want to say trenches because that sounds so bad, but I love being with them.
That's
So
okay. You
this,
can
all
say
this
trenches. That means you're just right there with everybody,
trenches. Yeah, I'm
right?
like right in there with
Yeah.
them. And what with in what my clients don't know is like every time I teach this, it just reinforces even in myself, like as a woman, like that we always have to be told over and over certain things. And I'm right there doing it with them. And so, a lot of it in the big first 2 weeks, again, is around awareness, like of what they're doing. And we break it down, not only just diet, we're talking about lifestyle, we're talking about alcohol, we're talking about
Hmm.
sleep, we're talking about water, we're talking about environmental stuff. And a lot of women don't know the harms that are in their environment that they can easily remove that is actually going to help. And a lot of these things actually are inflammatory and can disrupt your hormones, which both of which can harm your libido
Sure. You get those
and
hormone
your
disruptors
adrenals.
going.
Yeah.
It just
And
knocks you
then
out.
we do like a little, and so in that we talk about, let me see if I can give you let's see, sleep. I think everyone knows sleep and, the water, nutrition, we're going to kind of tease out obviously the sugar, but I think I have a personal story on this. Back in the day when I did my first, oh no, it was actually my last food sensitivity testing. I was sensitive to sugar. And here I am
Hmm.
already a functional medicine doc, Dan. And I was like, yeah. I am the doc with my sugar. I'm not having a lot of sugar. And I think this is when awareness really came on my radar, is that when I pulled back and started reading labels of everything I was consuming in a day, I had sugar infused into my bloodstream all day long of some sort. And I'm not talking about natural sugars and fruits. I'm talking about added sugars. This was mind blowing to me. And I was like, I found out all the quick little organic sauces had like sugar in them. So like,
That's right.
we go down to like, okay, what are the code names for sugars? Where are they sneaking in? And just simply pulling back and not even asking any of my women in my program, don't change anything yet. Like just pull back and look, observe of what your day looks like. And, perhaps why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you grabbing those cookies? Like, are you
Hmm.
hungry? Like, and tapping into feelings and thoughts and emotions that may be driving certain behaviors when it comes to reaching for that. Because I know me, I was tired. I was feeling not enough. Like and I didn't
Yeah.
care. So I would just grab the chips as opposed to grabbing a
Because
salad.
it
So,
makes you
we'll get a
feel
little,
good immediately. You're not feeling good enough. I'm right. I wrote that down. Not feeling good enough. And then you want something to
make you
make you
feel good.
feel good. And then you
It's
feel
a,
worse.
correct. Because we are great. I mean, again, I speak on women. We are great for guilting and shaming ourselves as soon as something hits our lips that we quote unquote should not have. Like, I don't like the word should, and I don't like that word, and I'm all in moderation. I think, what I have also witnessed with women is they get this you know, I talk about how diet doesn't work because they think, okay, I'm going to white knuckle it for 21 days or 30 days because I can't have the cookie, the cake, any carbs or whatever it may be. And then like they get done with that 21 days and they go right back to how they were eating before. And I'm like, where have we changed anything? Just because that, and I can say this from the bodybuilding years of like feeling very deprived of certain things that when I had it, I wanted to overeat it because my brain is like, you're never going to get this again. So eat as much as you can, you know? So, you know, I think in addition to we're just doing raising awareness, and sometimes it's not, and I'm not going to be doing calories or macros, you know, it might be simple as just take a picture of your food, like just so you can visually see what you're eating. And
let's see what's going on. And then let's take out and let's add in a couple of few things to start you off.
Yeah.
Because building momentum is extremely important. And for those of us listening, it's one of those situations where if you change everything in one day, Renee and I are like, no, it doesn't happen that way. Like she said before, like what Dr. Renee said before, you got to take baby steps. You got to gain that momentum. You start feeling better about yourself. My dogs are barking in the background, and you just feel incredible. Then you want more because you have this momentum that's rocking and rolling in you, and it's just 1,000% better.
I call these little micro shifts, you know, like just even if you look at how much sugar, maybe in that awareness phase, even though I really don't want to change, or even water, take water, for instance, you know, like so many women hate drinking water and they're like, oh, I have to drink half my body weight. What if we just start with how about a half a glass more a day? Then you like bring awareness of what you're drinking. I'm not saying going from 25 ounces to 100. How about just 8 more ounces and a couple more days? Right. And put it at a certain time of your day, maybe a trigger of like, I'm going to get up and have 16 ounces of water. Boom. Like,
I'm with you 100% on this. Small measurable changes can really lead to big results over that period of time, because if you overwhelm yourself, it just becomes too much and you don't want to, you know, it's not sustainable over a period of time. So just, this is great. Now this starts September 26th, which is this Monday, because today is the 22nd, right? And this is a 12-week program. So October, November into December, right? And you're taking how many?
10.
10. That's it. You're cutting it off at 10.
Yeah. And they're, you know, these women are going to have like everything. They're going to have work. They're going to have trackers, worksheets. My original program, I did a 6-week journal with affirmations and a tracker and like my nutrition plan and my detox plan and my tips for stress resiliency. Like it is all in there. And I'm adding in actually this round, like more about metabolism, especially if you're perimenopausal or menopausal or highly stressed. Like how can we tailor your nutrition to meet your body needs and lose the weight? And so you stop fighting against your body, because I think that's the biggest thing with group programs is like, a lot of times it's like, do it this way. And we have to remember we're dealing with people that are different. So, you know, to design a group program whereby you try to personalize it for every single member of the group is a challenge, but I did it.
So for all of you that are listening, all my female listeners, okay, Dr. Renee, double board certified, OBGYN, anti-aging medicine. She's been there. She understands what you are going through right now. So get into the program. We recommend this 100%. You know that I don't recommend programs unless I believe in the program and in the individual. And yes, I do know Dr. Renee. Her and I are friends. We've known each other for a long time. I still wouldn't be doing it if we were friends and I didn't believe in what she was able to do. But she's going to take your life and she's going to turn it around for the positive so that you're coming out of the clouds, the rain, and over here is going to be the sunshine and the beach and the water and the ocean or the mountains, depending upon what you like, right? Depending upon, because, you know, Renee likes.
Yeah, we're going to end 2022 together. And the next time I'm going to offer the program is in early 2023.
So it'll be early. So Dr. Renee, you're going to offer it in 2023 also. Ooh, I have some ideas. I have some ideas for that.
Yeah. If you get shut out of this round, you know, because the spots are full or what have you, I'll make sure I save you a spot for January of 2023.
So you better get your spot now before they're all gone. And then you're going to sit there and say, oh, geez, you know, I should have. And you know what? we're gonna take one or two of your of the attendees, and we're gonna do a live podcast. So we're gonna go through what they went through and all the results. That would be interesting because I love doing that type of stuff also.
Yeah, I do too. I love this, from the client's perspective of their experience. It can be mind blowing of like just the aha moments that they have. It's what lights me up and keeps me going every single day.
Awesome. I love it. Dr. Renee, you get the last words here.
Wow. I just think, after 20 plus years of practicing medicine and working with women, I'm at my peak. I am at my peak.
So you feel your best at the age of?
Almost 50. I'll be 50 in January. Yeah. And so, also this group.
That's right. You're a January baby like I am.
Yeah. January what?
10th.
Oh, I'm 20th.
I was going to say 15th. That's my son.
Yeah. So these women are going to be like on the journey with me to my 50th birthday, like just a month shy of my 50th. So they're going to just get every little perks and words of wisdom that I can give women on my last months of 2022. So in the show notes and in the comments section that you're going to see where you can sign up, I have it right here. All right. It's in there now. So if you're listening to this tomorrow, today's Thursday, tomorrow, it's going to be this podcast is going to be released. If you see this in my social media and you read it, click on it and go right into it. We recommend Dr. Renee 100%. You guys got to do this. All my female listeners, you must do this. She's going to bring you from point A to point B to point C and so forth and so on. You're going to be so much better at the other end of it. You hear me say how much energy I have at the age of 60. All right. Dr. Renee is the equivalent to me, the female version, feeling great at the age of 50. If you want this, it doesn't have to be this way. So please share this with family, friends, neighbors, co-workers. Share it with your husbands, your spouses, your significant others. Get them to share it with people. She's only taken 10. So you got to get rocking and rolling. So you got to make your decision. Be committed. Don't be interested. Be committed. I recommend Dr. Renee 100%. So get in there and do it. Thank you.
Renee, it's great seeing you again. I haven't seen you in such a long time.
You too. Yeah, we've been through a lot. So it's all good. And that's what I was going to add. Like, I can still feel good after the summer I had or this year I had. Anyone can do it.
And if you're going through a tough time, this is the perfect time to get into the program.
Yeah. Strategies,
tips, the whole thing for success. So it's very good. Yeah. So Renee, thank you very much for being on. As always, it's great to see you. It's
awesome. Thank you.
Everybody, go ahead. Listen, it's right here. All right. I have it. I'm going to put it into the link. So you're going to click on it and you're going to sign up. She's only taken 10. We recommend it. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. Get into the program because we're going to have one of you on when you're complete and we're going to discuss it. So thank you very much, Dr. Renee. Thank you very much. And everybody have a great rest of your day.